You see, we want success. Every one of us at all the locations right now, in 2017, we want success. And he says you have to realize that there's only one way to be able to get there, and it's being that one-track mind, focusing on the direction we need to go, and cultivating that weather-resistant life. To be able to do that, guys, you have to realize this. It's usually when the storm shows up that you find out what path you chose. There's a clear understanding of that to be able to do it. Now, to be able to illustrate that, I want to take you someplace with that. The importance of developing a weather-resistant life can help us. We take some time, and I'll either introduce to you or remind you that these are my parents. Many of you know that back in 2010, my mom was diagnosed with a brain tumor. It was a glioblastoma. There really was no hope because of that. It was a horrible, horrible moment in our life. And many of you know as well, decades ago, my first wife also died of a brain tumor as well. You know, it's those moments where you find out whether or not you have a weather-resistant life, whether you're going to stand and continue to do what you need to do, or whether you're going to get blown away. It was kind of wild because after my mom got diagnosed with that, it turned out that her treatment needed to take place here in Tucson. So Mom and Dad actually moved in with my family. Now we have 7 kids and at that time, and so it's a busy household, and so they moved in. I got to tell you, we made some great memories. It was really awesome. One of those memories, my son Cameron was actually going to go for Mr. Mountain View. And so he and his brother Bo were working up kind of a routine that they were going to do with that. And initially they were out in the garage working on it, and then the whole family ended up out there. And I remember my mom all of a sudden said, Doug, get in there and show them what you got. And Dad did. Nice little jump there, Dad. I like it. You know, it's interesting. It was awesome to be able to have them there. Really great memories through those 7 weeks. And my mom did pass away. It's kind of a while because during that time was an opportunity to be able to think a little bit about the things that are ultimately important and the things that really do matter in life. And one of the things that was true about the importance of choosing the path that you choose. You see, what's interesting about that is that my mom and dad were not raised in a Christian household at all. Quite the opposite. There was no interest in God on either family. And they came to a moment in their life where they were going to get divorced. At that point, my brother and I were very young, still kind of crib area, just kind of young. And they were deciding which was going to take which son and through that whole process. And they broke down and decided, you know what? Maybe we need to give this God thing that they'd heard about a try. I got to tell you, I think it's fascinating that over 50 years ago, my mom and dad made a decision to change paths, to give this God thing a try. He ended up being a pastor, really cool stuff. And because they made that one choice, thousands and thousands of people have been impacted for God. Thousands of lives and eternities have changed, including yours. You see, they made that decision, and because of that, I ended up going into ministry. I ended up starting the Bridge, and the thousands of people that we've impacted. It happened in part because you can go back to a decision that was made over 50 years ago. Guys, they just decided to change paths, and everything changed for a whole bunch of people. You know, I remember when we got the news about my mom and the glioblastoma, I was in the car with my family, and I started talking to them just about life and the futility of life outside of God. I pointed out to them, you know, we all go into life and we're well aware that this thing ends, this thing called death. We try not to think about it a lot, but we recognize that it does come to that. And I told them, you know what, guys, when that happens, I promise, for every person, whether they've had a short life or a long life, you kind of come to the moment where you look around and go, what was that about? And the answer to that question will tell you exactly what path you were on. Because, guys, the reality, and I pointed out to them, you know what, if you take God out of the equation, the bottom line is there's no logical reason to understand what that was about. I was insignificant, unimportant, I don't matter, I'm an accident. But you have God in the equation, and the end result is we have hope and purpose and meaning. We know who we are, what we're to do, that we're here to impact our generation and our time, that we get to change other people's lives and futures, and all of a sudden, life makes sense. Life has meaning. So today, here we are in Psalm chapter 1, and God says, here's these paths. And he tries to help them to understand that these paths matter. And I want you to know that whether you feel this way or not, someday, I promise you, the path that you choose will matter. You're going to look around all of a sudden and care very deeply whether you chose God's way or the other way, because it will lead to either success or failure in life, the ultimate success or failure, both in life and eternity. So I want you to think about this. Storms are going to come your way. The reality is weather is inevitable. Developing a weather-resistant life means following God with your life. And I want to challenge you in 2017, choose the weather-resistant life by following God's path in the way that you live this year.